This is for the others out there, the other ambitious people who want to play at a higher level in their life. It's time to get curious and get real. Join me, and together, let's find the others. Hey friends, and welcome back to another episode here. I'm stoked to be tuning in with y'all today. Thank you for listening. I want to just jump right into this episode today. The inspiration behind this episode is for a lot of conversations I've been having out there with people. A lot of people, you're listening to this, is probably, you can relate to this. A lot of people out there, 2025 is going to be the year that you really get that side hustle, that passion project, or that business off the ground. And if you are that person, and this is going to be the year you're really going to put effort and energy and intention into your new side hustle or your passion project, your business, there's 3 pieces of advice that I want to share with you. And this is coming from someone who I've had many passion projects, many projects that many of them never saw the light of day. A lot of them did and didn't last. And most recently, Edge Theory Labs obviously was a side hustle. It was a passion project that became a side hustle that became a full-time job in a business. And so I do have some experience in terms of seeing how it can work and what it can lead to. So I was having a couple conversations with people the other day and this came up. And so I realized that it's probably on the collective consciousness, meaning that I should probably do an episode about this. So 3 pieces of advice. The first is start small, and start small with what I like to call something that is low friction and high energy. So if you want to create something or start with something that feels super attainable and that is very low friction and gives you energy in return. So for example, Edge Theory Labs it didn't start with me being like, I want to build a super successful big business. That would have been way too overwhelming. And I think a lot of people either don't start because they have that all or nothing mentality where it's like, I got to go big or go home and I got to build something big, and it becomes overwhelming. You don't actually get anything done. You never leave the driveway. You never actually leave the starting blocks. So you can overwhelm yourself by having something that's too high friction and then you're not actually going to do anything about it, or you burn out too quickly and you start it, but then you burn out too quickly because the results take way longer than you expect it to be, or you want the quick hit and it just doesn't happen that way. So then you burn out and then you stop. So, or you lose your energy, or it's not high enough energy output. And so you burn out because it's not giving you energy. So whatever you do, make sure you start with something that is low friction and high energy. So a couple examples of this. When I started the podcast, I started the podcast just by recording a couple conversations. It was like, it would have been way too much to be like, all right, I'm going to do 2 episodes every single week and I'm going to do it for 5 years, right? It'd be way too much to try to lock into something like that. I was like, I find it interesting to have these conversations. Like, let me record one conversation. I recorded one conversation and I just shared it on my Instagram. I didn't even publish it as a podcast, and I enjoyed it. People liked it. I was like, let me do that again. I did it again. Okay, cool. I think there's something here. Now I want to start to catalog these more. So let me launch the podcast. Okay, cool. Let me do 1 episode a week because I can do 1 episode a week. Okay, great. Now let me do 2 episodes a week. And then I committed to doing 2 episodes a week for a whole year. And that really got this podcast off the ground. So it builds. Had I decided right out the gates, I'm going to do all this at once, it would not have worked. Similarly, with Edge Theory Labs, I wouldn't have been able to, if I was like, let me go build a business. There's so many different things that go into that. For me, it was, let me work on something with my cousin that brings me energy. My cousin and I, Rob, we worked on it was a COVID cousin project is what Edge Theory Lab started as. And I just kept being like, let's take it 1 step at a time and focus on what feels good. And right now it's like, cool, let's work. It'd be a fun cousin project to try to build a DIY cold tub because we don't want to buy something else out there. It's like, that's fun. Let me focus on that. We both did it with the lens that this could be, and we had the intention of it becoming a business, but it was like, let's just start here. That feels good. Cool. Let's keep it rolling. And then it rolled into being what it was and building the business that we had. So start with something that's low friction and high energy. That way you can actually build momentum with it and then keep going. So that's number 1. Number 2 is lengthen the runway. This is a phrase I got from my mentor, Giorgio, which is when you lengthen the runway and you give yourself more time and more space to do things, you actually can get them done a lot quicker. This is a little bit contrary to some of the Moore's law, or some of the laws of productivity or physics. It's like give yourself as short of a time period as possible because then you have to get it done. Which, yes, there's a time for that as well. But when I look at this more on the macro of lengthen the runway, whatever your goals are, extend them, because the truth is that we often overestimate what we can do in 1 year and we underestimate what we can do in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. So the older I've gotten and the more things that I've done and the more endeavors that I've undertaken, the longer time horizon that I look at. The masses play in days or weeks, the masters play in decades, and think about the long-term compound interest of things. So lengthen the runway. Like, yes, you can start a business within a year. Yes, you can do all these things within a year. Amazing. But if you give yourself more time, then you're going to probably surprise yourself. And part of the detriment of giving yourself too short of a timeline, if I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna start this business and it's gonna replace my full-time income within 6 months or within this year, I'm gonna do all these things. If that doesn't happen or you're not on track towards doing that, it's gonna demotivate the crap out of you and you're gonna stall. But if you give yourself a longer time horizon, one, you're going to make sure you're in it for the right reasons and you're going to build it more sustainably and you're going to give yourself more time to then allow results to surprise and delight you. So an example here is, one phrase that I always love from my dad is he said, anything in business is the rule of twos. It's going to take twice as long as you imagine, and it's going to cost twice as much money. And it's such the truth. It's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much as you expect right now in your mind. So I've always used that in terms of even when I'm doing new launches of things or I'm working on new projects, I always lengthen the runway and I give myself more time than I think because it usually ends up being just about right. So lengthen the runway. And with Edge, for example, I put a long runway on this, and my mentor checked me on this too, because when I was first launching, it was like, all right, I want this to be full time. Like I want to be able to build an income from this and live off this. And I was like, okay, rather than trying to make that happen right away, maybe one day in 2 years, maybe it'll take 12 to 18 months for me to be able to actually build this business to the point where it's turning a profit or we're generating enough revenue to where it can afford to pay me as a co-founder. And so I had that expectation. So I didn't quit my day job. So I gave myself the runway to build this on the side as a side hustle and a passion project with the vision and the hope that one day this could turn into something full time. And what happened? It turned into something full time within 3 months of us launching. And I gave a long runway. I was like, all right, cool. We're starting to see some traction. So I put I put my notice in for like 6 months away. I was going to phase out of the job I was working and phase into this fully. And then it was like, oh crap, I need more. I need to do this sooner. So 3 months, and then it became 2 months before I left. So I gave myself more time. I lengthened the runway, and the beautiful part about that is that I wasn't in scarcity mode. And this is such a big thing for creating or for launching something or for working on something, is that if you get into scarcity mode, you're going to have a lot harder time. Now, some people can do this and it works. So like, I don't want to cut you off at the knees if this is someone that has worked for you, of the burn the boats mentality, because I've seen many people where it works well. But generally, in working with a lot of people, a lot of creatives, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of people aspiring to do something like this, is that it does not work. The burn the boats mentality doesn't work. You don't need to necessarily take a jump and a scary jump when you can build a bridge. So I've always had the build the bridge mentality. And why try to take the scary leap of faith in this jump that feels entirely scary when you can build a bridge and you can work your way to get there? So I've always focused on building those bridges. And that's a key part of this length on the runway, is that it gives yourself a chance to build the bridge. Because the truth is, if you're operating from that scarcity mentality and you have a short runway and you're like, I need this to take off, the energy you're bringing to whatever it is, whether you're providing a service or you're selling a product or whatever it is, that energy is felt, and it is a repellent. It turns people away. It turns opportunities away. However, if you're stepping into it with this lengthened runway and you're stepping into it with this energy of abundance and of high energy and of enjoyment, and the opposite of lack of love, then you become a magnet and you attract these things towards you. So I cannot stress this enough, but create from that place of abundance, from that place of love, not from that place of scarcity or place of lack, because it's going to repel the opportunities and the sales, and things are going to be way more upstream. Again, that's not to say that it can't work, because it does work for some people, but I'm telling you, like, take my advice on this and figure out a way to lengthen that runway. Make sure, I'm a huge fan of the side hustles because of this. Like, use your job, like use the income that you're bringing in, and then burn the midnight oil and moonlight something else on the side, or make it a priority for you on the fringes of that, or build a business, or build an income stream that can support that, or build a job where you can have the flexibility flexibility to work remote so that you don't have to be in an office, for 8 hours a day, and you can actually work on some of this stuff on the fringes in the morning or in the afternoon or when there's lulls or at lunchtime. So that to me, I've seen work so much more well and so much better than just trying to burn the boats mentality. So that's number two, which is lengthen the runway and really create from that place of abundance. And then thirdly is daily inspiration and community. Like it takes a team, regardless of what you're doing. Success is a team sport, and you need to constantly be plugged into those streams of inspiration. You need to feed your soul like you feed your body, which is daily, multiple times a day. You've got to be plugged into things that are inspiring you, things that are filling you up, things that are giving you that higher level perspective and that are actually pulling you forward, because it's easy when things are going well, but as soon as you get knocked off your horse, you need to be in the habit of constantly bringing yourself back. And that takes a community, that takes a tribe, that takes people around you that are dreamers as well. Because especially in the beginning, for a lot of you, you probably relate to this, that if you're trying, it's scary to try to start something new or to focus on this and really step into and claim this, because you have resistance from other people and you're going to get other people's opinion. Oh, that's not smart. Don't do it because of this. Or are you really thinking about this properly? Or no one's going to listen to that. There's a lot of naysayers and doubters out there and haters out there. Let the haters hate. The haters going to hate. Come on, T Swift, what you got? Haters going to hate, hate, hate. It's such the truth. So let them hate and just make sure you're plugged into the lovers, the people that are other dreamers and doers and game changers and playmakers and generators. You got to be in that realm. That has to be your default vibration, because that's what's going to pull you forward when you get knocked off the horse, and it's inevitable you will get knocked off the horse. So that's something I'm really passionate about bringing here and creating and cultivating this community. It's one of my intentions and focuses here in 2025 is to cultivate that community more here in person in San Diego and also virtually. So you heard at the beginning of the episode, I want to share again now. I've created the Find the Others WhatsApp group chat. It's a totally free group chat for you to join. It's just a place where I'm sharing and other people are sharing these inspirational things. One guy just said in there just yesterday, this is my favorite form of social media. Like, keep the shares coming. We're sharing YouTube videos. We're sharing podcast episodes, voice notes, clips, songs, things that just keep you lit up and inspired and keep your soul fed, because that's so important when you're doing this. It's essential to pull you forward. So greatness can be an individual pursuit, but it is a team sport. That is for sure. So those are three things I want to offer. I could go on and talk about this, but I just wanted to drop in real quick here and offer these three frameworks of perspective. Number one, which is start small with something that feels low friction and high energy. Number two, lengthen the runway so you can create from a place of abundance and magnetize and attract what you want, and you'll get it done quicker that way. And number three is feed your soul like you feed your body. Stay plugged into the daily inspiration and the community of people that are going to pull you forward. If you do those three things, 2025 is going to be your year, and you're going to blow yourself away at the reality you're going to create. So take that or leave it. And I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, please share it with a friend who you want to get on this wavelength. Join the WhatsApp group. I'll see you in there, and share it with other people as well, so we can build this tribe. We can build this community of others out there. So, all right. I love you, and I can't wait to see you next time on the next episode. Have a great day, y'all.